Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all my Harpy Lady Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for February 2019. Been actually working on this deck for quite some time, just getting all of the cards together for it. I would say it was definitely one of the more harder cards to obtain, just altogether from Sisters of the Rose compared to like Cyber Angels, Lunalights, and Black Rose. But finally mustered up a good amount of the deck, so I figured I'd bring you all of the deck profile. It's a really fun deck. The whole point of the Harpies are really just to destroy a bunch of your opponent's cards and special summon out a bunch of different Harpy monsters, and then you can use them for different plays involving your extra deck as well. We got plenty of new cards from the new set for the Harpies. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. Now I want to run 3 Harpy Perfumer. Sadly, I only able to manage to pick up 2 so far, but I'm substituting in a 3rd Harpy Oracle until I pick up the 3rd one. So if you get the 3rd one, you can just remove this Harpy Oracle, which we are running this card in the deck, which I'll get to later on in the profile with the number I want to run for her. But with Harpy Perfumer, this card's name becomes Harpy Lady while it's on the field or in the graveyard, and if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand. That specifically lists the card Harpy Lady Sisters in its text, and if you control a level 5 or higher Harpy monster, when you activated this effect, you can also add a second such card with a different name from the first. You can only use the effect of Harpy Perfumer once per turn. It's a very interesting way how they worded that, but very nice that you can get a second search off when you have a level 5 or higher on the field. But the search for a card that specifically lists Harpy Lady Sisters makes it a very important card overall, just with the deck involved with a lot of different summonings for the deck and just with a lot of the different card text as well. So 3 Perfumer definitely does make for a lot of important plays in the deck. Another one, been out for the deck for a while, but still run 3 of, is Harpy Chandler. You can discard 1 Harpy card to special summon 1 Harpy monster from your deck in face-up defense, except for Chandler. You can only use this effect of Harpy Chandler once per turn, and while you control a Dragon-type monster, this card's level becomes 7, and this card's name becomes Harpy Lady while it is on the field or in the graveyard. So I still like and am a big fan of the Harpy's Pet Dragon play you can do with the deck to special summon out Harpy's Pet Dragon, then overlay Harpy Chandler and Dragon together for a powerful rank 7 Exceed monster, depending on which one you want. Obviously, it's preference. We'll get to that in the extra deck, but Harpy's Chandler can also just very easily special summon out a bunch of different Harpy monsters, depending on which one you want for your plays, of course, just for the cost of getting a Harpy card into the graveyard. And then I also run 3 Harpy Queen, just the searcher for your field spell. So its name is Harpy Lady while it's on the field or graveyard, like most of the Harpy cards. And you can discard this card to add 1 Harpy's Hunting Ground from your deck to your hand. So the field spell that destroys spell or traps, very, very powerful field spell for summoning out so many Harpies for sure. So 3 Queen, along with having 1900 attack, is very much staple in the deck for sure. And I also run 2 Harpy Harpists. With this one, when this card becomes Harpy Lady while it's on the field or graveyard, you can only use each of the effects of Harpy's Harpist once per turn. When this card is normal summon, you can target 1 Wing Beast type monster you control and use that card in 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and return them to the hand. So a good way to bounce pesky cards your opponent controls back. And during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add 1 level 4 Wing Beast type monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. So not only that, but having search, if you use it for a bunch of different plays, Harpy's Harpist can definitely come in handy. I only run 2 though, just for the fact that the first one is a normal summon effect, so special summoning out doesn't really do you much for that search effect, but I still like it for the bounce that you can do with the normal summon and the search at the end of the turn. And moving on to Harpy Oracle, which I mentioned earlier, I run 2 of this card as well. It becomes Harpy Lady while on the field or in the graveyard, and you can only use each of the effects of Harpy Oracle once per turn. If you control a level 5 or higher Harpy monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand that specifically lists Harpy Lady Sisters in the text during the end phase of this turn. So the special summon is great because it won't obviously take up your normal summon, depending if you wanted to use another Harpy monster, so you can easily get out plenty of monsters. The only thing is it has to be a level 5 or higher Harpy monster, so make sure you can get out your Harpy Lady Sisters very, very fast to get that play going, obviously. And I also run 2 Harpy Lady 1. I run 2 of this one, and this one's name is always treated as Harpy Lady, not on the field or graveyard. So you have to remember that it does take up the Harpy Lady spot in the deck, and all wind monsters gain 300 attack, so a great boost for all of your Harpy monsters since they are all wind type, obviously. And I also run one Harpy Dancer. With this one, you can target one wind monster you control, return it to the hand, then you can normal summon one wind monster. You can only use this effect of Harpy Dancer once per turn, and this card's name becomes Harpy Lady while it is on the field or in the graveyard. So if you can make use of your Harpy Harpist with this card, you can get that additional normal summon off, so very, very useful with that card. And you also just have the option to bounce back the cards to your hand to reuse later on as well. Only one, though. I had thought of mixing around the numbers with it, but I figured with all the search we have available, you don't really need to normal or special summon this card, so you'll have it out on the field to use its effect most of the time with some of your other cards. And then for some of the other one-ofs, the one Harpy Lady's Sister, I only run one of this because you can special summon it out with Elegant Egotist, and it's the only way you can special summon it out, obviously. It's the only requirement. It cannot be normal summon or set. It must first be special summon with Elegant Egotist, so as long as you have that card, you can easily special summon Harpy Lady Sisters from the hand or deck. It's a pretty good powerhouse, but most of the time, it's just used to revolve around some of the other Harpy Lady effects we have in the deck. And lastly, the one Harpy's Pet Dragon. This is to go with the Chandler effect. Like I said, I'm still a very, very big fan of the Harpy's Pet Dragon play you can do in the deck for the Exceed Summon. If you didn't want to run, Harpy's Pet Dragon in the deck, you could try putting in a third Harpy Harpist just to try out that play. But, whoever hasn't tried out the Harpy deck, I do urge just to give it a shot. It is a lot of fun. Plus, Harpy's Pet Dragon just, gives an additional boost to Harpy Lady on the field as well. So maxed out number with Harpy Lady number 1, you can hit some pretty good numbers for your monsters on the field. And that is it for the monsters. I wanted to stick to as pure of a Harpy build as I could with all the monsters. They all do run really, really well together, so you don't really, regret running anything else. And there's not much else to run that you can benefit with, as well as all the other Harpy monsters. But for the spells, I run 2 Alluring Mirror Split. When a Harpy Lady or Harpy Lady Sisters you control is destroyed by battle, you can special summon one Harpy monster from your deck with a different original name than the destroyed monster. And if this card you control is destroyed by a Harpy's card effect or your opponent's card effect, you can target one Harpy monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and you'll use each effect of Alluring Mirror Split once per turn. Now the reason I run 2 of this, even though it's a continuous spell, obviously, is for easier search for getting this card and using it, and also just for the fact that you can search it, since it does list Harpy Lady Sisters in the name. The fact that you can destroy it with your own cards, in this case, obviously Hunting Ground, or just by your opponent's card, and then get that special summon is a very good benefit as well overall. So you can always have a second one to rely on if the first one ended up being destroyed by that card effect to get off that special summon. And I also run 1 of the new Harpy's Feather Rest. You target 3 Harpy Lady and or Harpy Lady Sisters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, then draw 1 card. If you control a level 5 or higher Harpy monster when you activated this effect, draw 2 cards instead, and for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except wind monsters. You can only activate 1 Harpy's Feather Rest per turn. Now, I did think about bumping this up to 2, but most of the time, I only ever need that shuffle back for 1, and that draw 2 power usually should give me the hand I need to either go for game or at least get off the play I wanted to. And also, the special summon kind of restricts you from the extra deck, except for wind monsters, obviously. That's why I run a good amount of wind to counteract those plays, obviously. Plus, all the other monsters in your main deck are wind, so you don't really have to worry about limiting them for your special summon. And I also run 2 Harpy's Hunting Ground. The field spell, all wing beast-type monsters you control gain 200 attack and defense, and when any Harpy Lady or Harpy Lady Sisters are normal or special summon, the player who conducted the summon targets 1 spell or trap on the field and destroys that target. So you can take care a good amount of your opponent's cards with this card. Just remember that you can also pop your own cards if there's not another target on the field, so be wary of that when you use this card, unless obviously you're going for a card you want to destroy, like in the case of Alluring Mirror Split, obviously, or some of your other spells, which we'll get to. I also run 3 Elegant Egotist. Very, very important card, since Harpy Lady Sister is a big play for a lot of your cards in the deck, just having that high-level monster on the field. So Harpy Lady is on the field. You special summon 1 Harpy Lady or Harpy Lady Sisters from your hand or deck. An easy requirement to make use of, obviously, since all of them become Harpy Lady on the field. And then just get that Harpy Lady Sister, especially since it's from the hand or deck, meaning if you draw it, it's not a dead draw, so you can still end up using it on the field. And I also run 3 Hysteric Sign. This continuous spell, when it's activated, you can add 1 Elegant Egotist from your deck or graveyard to your hand, so you have reuse there as well. And during the end phase of this turn, if this card was sent from the field or hand to the graveyard, add up to 3 Harpy cards with different names from your deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 Hysteric Sign effect per turn, only once that turn. So either you get the Elegant Egotist search off, obviously, or you want to get the search for your Harpy cards. Both are very, very useful, but most of the time you can always wait a turn for the special summon and make use of the Elegant Egotist search, since this card is just an additional searcher for that card. And lastly, just 1 Monster Reborn. That additional help from the graveyard with this card definitely does help for a lot of your plays. Just getting that additional Harpy monster to use, depending on what you need it for, definitely with Monster Reborn. And for the traps, I run 3 Harpy Feather Storm. With this one, if you control a winged wing beast type monster until the end of the turn, negate any monster effect your opponent activates. If you control a Harpy monster, you can activate this card from your hand. And if this card in its owner's spell trap card zone is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 Harpy's Feather Duster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So the Feather Storm, very, very useful for the monster effects, and also just being able to add it from the hand. Basically the hand trap of a trap that we needed for the deck. Just very easy to use, and you don't have to set it on the field most of the time, so cards like Hunting Ground don't have to risk popping this either. Definite 3 of, just for that power it holds with the deck. And I also run 1 Hysteric Party. You activate this card by discarding 1 card. Special summon as many copies of Harpy Lady as possible from your graveyard. And when this face-up card leaves the field, destroy those monsters. So most of the time, I'll make full use of the monsters before they can be destroyed. Or if I have no fear from my opponent destroying them, I can at least use their effects beforehand and then go into some extra deck plays. But this one really does help just for those special summons for use of just extra resources for the extra deck. And then for additional traps that go really well with the deck as well, I run 3 Goes in Match. This one just helps for the fact that each player can only control 1 attribute of a monster, send all their face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. Now that doesn't really hurt us at all with this deck, since we control all wind monsters, and it really can, limit your opponent depending on what type of deck they play. So 3 of this in the deck is very, very helpful. Just for that lockdown kind of play you might want to go for. And it doesn't really limit you, since we do run a good amount of wins, like I said before, in the extra deck also. And then lastly, I just run a small Solemn Engine, so 1 Solemn Warning and 2 Solemn Strikes. Just additional help with some of the traps on the field for bigger monsters that you obviously might need some help to get over, whether it be, if your opponent's running a deck that has all of the same attributes, or you just don't have the strength with some of your Harpy cards or extra deck monsters to get over. And then for the extra deck, I run 1 Diamond Dire Wolf, just for the Wing Beast monsters for the destruction. Very, very useful for sure for taking care of pesky cards your opponent controls. 1 Lightning Chidori for the fact that you need 2 level 4 wind monsters to make this, so very, very good for the bounce effects. I run 2 Castels. Now this one, just for the limits we have with wind monsters and the amount of level 4s that I do like to go into the deck, I thought 2 was definitely necessary just to have more options in case I already went into the Castel, and then I have, obviously Goes in Match on the field, but I need more extra deck options. A second Castel always does come in handy. And I also run 1 Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon, just for more power plays. Same with Utopia and Utopia the Lightning for more of those push plays for attacks. And also I run the 1 Exciton Knight for field clearing. And for the bigger Exceed, to go with the Harpy Pet Dragon, I run number 11 Big Eye myself. If you want to try Draco Sack, you may have to switch around some of the Link monsters in the extra deck, but Big Eye being able to take your opponent's monster then gives me options for Link 2 plays, which I run in the deck as well, which is why I like to run this card over Draco Sack for that rank 7 play. And then for the Link monsters, I run 1 Great Fly. This one, with all the other boost effects we have with the Harpy monsters, can get some really, really big numbers, which is why I love running this card in the deck. And then for the other Link 2 options, I run 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, and 1 Nightmare Cerberus. And then for the Link 3s, I run 1 Topologic Trisbana. Very, very helpful with the, just the destruction that your opponent has to play around, obviously. And 1 Borreload Dragon, just for the Link 4 option. Thought of some other ones, like, Topologic, Bomber Dragon, or Saryuja, but I figured, if you wanted to try out the different Link 4s, Borreload definitely is the best one, just with all the different Harpy monsters you can get on the field, and then just the pressure alone he has. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. We're getting a good number of the decks from Sister of the Rose finished. I think I only have one more deck to do, and that is the trains, which I'm definitely going to get to finishing, and then we'll have all the decks taken care of until obviously updates come around. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.